Hi guys, Robbie46 here, welcome yourselves back to Ride 2. Now today I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up a bike in Ride 2. And because you can't actually change as many things as what you can in Valentino Rossi the game, I will do a separate video to setting up a bike in Valentino Rossi the game, because there's so much more you can actually change on that game. So we'll just stick with Ride 2 for now, and we're going to start with a 600. Going to be using my trusty Suzuki GSXR 600. And one thing I will say, guys, is that everybody's setups are different. What works for me may not work for you. But the first thing you need to do is actually learn the tracks. So if there's a certain track you want to get a setup for, you need to make sure that you know your way around the track. Preferably without the ideal trajectory lines on, just because they're a bit distracting. You can find your way around the track better without them. And learn your own braking markers, learn what gears you should be in and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the first step you need to do, is learn the tracks like the back of your hand, so that you know it inside and out. You know where the bumps are, what side of the track you need to be on before going into a corner, all stuff like that. Secondly, you need to know your bike inside and out. So whatever bike you want to use and use a setup on, make sure you know the bike's strengths, the bike's weaknesses, what the gearing's like in just default gearing. So this lap I'm doing now, I'm doing in default setup. There's no setup on this bike whatsoever. Because the third thing you need to do, once you know the first two things about the track and the bike, you need to basically do a load of laps until you get to a point where you don't feel like you can go any quicker with the default setting. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just doing a flying lap on the default setting, and we'll see what it is at the end, and then we'll go and fiddle with a few things in the bike settings, and then see what we can do with a new improved setup. Now the setup I'm actually going to show you is the one that took me to the victory in the league race, so it is tried and tested. Another thing you definitely need to do is put in a load of time if you want to get the best setup possible for your bike. Like I said, everyone's got different setups, so this setup that I'm going to be showing you in a minute may not necessarily work for you, just because everyone's got different play styles. But these are the setups I'm going to be showing you that work best for me, and what I feel I can get the best out of. So just default setting, I done a 203.032, so pretty much a 2 minute 3 flat. So we'll go into the menu in a minute and change a few things, and I will show you guys what I changed to get a little bit quicker. Now, it won't always be huge differences, you will just be chipping away at time. So what we're going to do, go into bike settings and suspension. The Suzuki handles really well, so I'm only going to change one thing. I mean, there's loads of things you can change, but I just change the front preload down by 1, just to lower the front end of the bike a little bit, just to make it a bit more agile. So into the gears, my gears are too long, the default ones, so I'm going to lower some of them. Second gear needs to be quite low, because I don't use first gear in the real tight corners, so I need a low second gear. So that's the gearing done. So one thing I will say, when you're experimenting with doing setups, don't change too much at once, because if you go in the right direction and you don't actually know what caused you to go quicker, you won't know what to change next, and you might end up completely fucking up your setup. So just change things one at a time. Gearing you can kind of mess about with quite a bit, but suspension I would just change one thing at a time until you've got to a point where you're happy with it and it's making the difference that you need. Like I said, the Suzuki for me handles really well, so I didn't have to change too much in the suspension. But gearing wise, I just made all the gears shorter, second gear especially, just to get a better exit at corners and the run down the straights. So my gearing's quite short. Like I said, I lowered the overall ratio. That's because on the straights, you kind of want your bike to almost completely rev out by the time you need to put the brakes on, because anything after that is just wasted and you're never going to use it. So that's what I do for the 6th gear. But at the moment we're on a pretty hot lap. We'll see what we do at the end. But yeah, so you just need to do trial and error. Sometimes you may go in the complete wrong direction for a setup and end up going slower. That's fine. That's why you don't want to be changing too many things at the same time. That way you'll know which ones are making you go slower and you can change them back to how they were. But yeah, it does take time. It takes a lot of patience, and you need to be obviously consistent with your laps, because if you do a real good lap and then a real shit lap on your new setup, you'll think that you're not really improving that much. But you just need to make sure you're doing perfect laps pretty much just to get the best out of your setups. So coming to the end of this one, and we are doing a 202.932, so basically a tenth quicker. It's not a huge difference, but it is faster nonetheless. Like I said, with some bikes, some of the setups that you do won't make a massive difference, but some of them will just make a small difference. But over a race, that will make a big difference to your overall performance. We're going to go and do a superbike setup now, because some of them won't transition over to a superbike setup too bad. Some of them you need to just do a complete new setup. So we're going to do a lap just like we did on the Suzuki with the default settings and see what we can do. Like I said, you definitely need to learn your bike, because with the Yamaha R1, this has a real short third gear in the default setting. As you'll notice when I'm going around, third gear is really short compared to the other gears. So you need to take that into consideration when you're doing your gearing for this bike. And just like the Suzuki one, I'll be showing you the setup that I used for the Nürburgring League race, which again took me to the victory. So it's tried and tested. The other thing is, your setups won't always work best at all the tracks. You'll have to do a complete new setup for another track. Like I'm doing setups for Monza at the moment for the next league race, and they're completely different setups, gearing wise anyway, compared to the Nürburgring, just because Monza is a really fast circuit. It's got some really long straights on it, so I need to make sure that my gearing isn't too short and that my sixth gear isn't too short, because I don't want to be revving out halfway down the straight, because come the race everyone will be overtaking me. So that's you need to take that in consideration as well when you're using setups on other tracks. So they won't always transition to other tracks. Similar tracks, they may work out okay, but you may need to tweak a few things just to enhance them a bit more, because every track is unique, as you well know. So hence why they'll need a different setup for every track that you do. So coming to the end of the default lap, see what we do when we come across the line. So we've done a 154.432. Now that's not a too bad lap. That's pretty quick, but we're going to see if we can improve it further. So we're going to go, you have to go to restart, which is a bit annoying, and go into bike settings. Now just like the Suzuki, the Yamaha handles real well, so I'm just going to lower the front by 1 to make it a bit more agile. Now gearing's too long, but this one it's pretty much every other, you just lower apart from 5 and 6, because you still need the top end on the straight, otherwise you'd be revving out too early. Third gear, like I said, because it's real short, you don't need to really fiddle that too much, because it will slot in nicely with a shortened second and fourth gear. So let's go do a lap with the new setup on, and we'll see how quick we can do this in. So well, you just seen that a lap I just done was a 154.2, so that's already 0.2 quicker. But we're going to go faster again. So let's see what we can do. But you will notice a difference in the bike. You have to do a few laps just to kind of get used to the setups once you've put one on, because you can't expect it to do a quicker lap straight away. You may even get very close to your default lap straight away, but most of the time as well, because obviously you got auto drive out of the final corner, you need to at least do one first flying lap to actually get onto the start-finish straight with the right speed, because the auto drive is really slow. So that's something you need to take in consideration. But yeah, you might go really close to your default lap on your first lap, which is when you know you're going in the right direction, because when you actually start a flying lap, you know that you're going to be even quicker. So yeah, like I said, it is all about trial and error. You do need a lot of patience. I can't emphasize enough that my setup may not necessarily work for you. When we were doing the MotoGP leagues, one racer actually gave me one of his setups for one of the races, and for me, I couldn't use it. I tried using it, and I found it slower than my own setup. Obviously it worked well for him, but it just didn't for me, just because we have completely different play styles. So just make sure you're aware of that before you actually try the setup. By all means, try these setups. They may work for you, they may not. But at the end of the setup lap, we've done a 154.065. So we've gone 4/10 quicker than our default fast lap. So that's almost half a second. So that is a big chunk. And like I said, over a race pace, that is going to really enhance your performance. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So learn the tracks, learn the bikes, learn where you need to improve, and then just take baby steps in creating your setup. Don't change too many things at once, because if you do improve, you won't know what caused it. And another important thing, because you can't actually save setups on Ride 2, make sure you write them down or take a photo of the screen or something, just so that you can refer back to it when you get to a race in either online or World Tour. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. See you!